Hello, welcome back to First Thoughts. I'm Simon, this is Justin, and today we're giving our first thoughts on the good boy. He's the bestest boy. Well, that was a movie. Written, directed by Ben Leonberg, and was co-written by Alex Cannon, and starring Indy as himself. Which, yeah, you gotta love an Indiana Jones reference there. But I think if you're really serious about referencing it, you should name the dog Henry, because then you're flipping it on its head. No? Too deep? You don't get the reference? I think it's funny.
I get it, but you'd have to explain that to everybody.
Yeah.
You say Indy, oh, okay. You say Henry, it's like...
Yeah, but we named the dog Indiana. Anyway, in case you haven't heard about this movie yet, you don't know anything about it, it is a horror movie from the perspective of the dog. Mostly. It does deviate a few times, but it's mostly from the perspective of the dog, who is a retriever and, like I said, a good boy. Oh. Also, fun fact, it is the director's dog, which I knew going in, but they do a whole little segment after the credits. That was so cute. Honestly, frankly, my favorite part of the screener.
I did not know that going in, that it was his dog, right? Also, I feel that little bit at the end, very unfair of them, right? Because it made me enjoy the movie more, right? It was unfair.
It was so
It was
cute.
too adorable.
It was so cute.
Interesting. It reminded me that I need to get more DVDs to see behind the scenes of movies.
Dude,
but gosh.
Special features are such a dying art. I know, like, some streamers will put up a whole separate thing, or I guess even some have it layered in the actual movie where you can then click to special features, but it's like there's few and far between. I really love special features anyway. Side note. But yeah, the movie itself, so yeah, I mean, it sounds like what it is. It's a little bit one note, and frankly, I think they knew that the movie is like 70 minutes long.
Yeah.
They knew they couldn't keep going for a long time.
I feel like it was a fair time for this movie.
Yeah.
I don't really feel there was much fluff to this, I guess.
No
real point where it dropped off heavily and I started to think, why didn't we just continue with the beginning? I mean, I knew it was a horror movie from the dog's perspective going in. I didn't really know exactly how that was going to work.
Right.
But I think I mostly figured it out like little before halfway in. There's one particular scene where I'm, maybe that's what's going on with him, and I guess that makes this movie this.
Yeah.
And then there was one other element I just didn't get to the end.
Yeah, so the movie wasn't what I expected it to be in that, and I hope this isn't too much of a spoiler, but it's an allegorical horror. Right. And I was expecting it to just be straightforward fun.
I agree.
And it's not fun, it's depressing.
See, fun, I don't know if I completely expected fun. I did expect a more straightforward horror film. I didn't expect allegorical horror, but I wasn't ready for this movie. I expected them to go emotional manipulation with the dog.
And they did.
Yeah, and they did.
Yeah, they did very well with that. The dog had plenty of great sound effects and little moments, and I will say, though, the dog only barks once near the end of the movie, and the audio peaked like crazy. I'm like, you should have re-recorded that. Everything else great, but that audio sucked. You should have redone that part.
And you know what? Looking at the behind the scenes at the end, I can see why they didn't.
But you can record the audio separately, fully it in.
Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, no, I, having seen it, and I will say enjoyed it even, a big part of me felt the entire time it should have been a short film. It felt like, I know you said there was no fluff, but I did feel like it was kind of repetitive at times, and I just was like, the fact that I'm bored in a 70-minute movie means they didn't really know what to say, it felt like at times, or know what to do, and part of that was the budget. It is very hard to make a legitimately scary thing with this kind of budget, and it's not scary at all, because the budget is just too small for it to be scary. And granted, I think that was the second priority. I think top priority was it to be a cute, sentimental dog movie, horror movie second, and that is how it feels. And it definitely nailed that part. I think that part was really good. The dog was the best actor in the movie. I loved him. But yeah, I mean, the horror, I just felt it was kind of boring and repetitive at times. And I thought the budget really showed, which was a little frustrating. I mean, I get it. And I love, indie unique films like this, so I want to support it despite the budget limitations and everything. But yeah, I think maybe part of it was my expectations were off.
Okay.
Because, like we were saying, we expected something more straightforward,
Yeah.
and what it wasn't that, I kind of was like, well, what are we doing? It kind of felt like we were trying to do two things at once. And I think that also led to me being a little bit frustrated with the direction of it. But overall, I would still say I enjoyed it. It was very cute, very sentimental, very emotionally manipulative. Like, it makes you want to cry. Not scary at all, but still entertaining.
There was like 2 moments where I was kind of shocked. Oh, you kind of got me to jump a tiny bit.
Sure, there's some jump scares.
And then there was one part where I was like, the scariest position for this thing to be would be right there. And then it was right there. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was very artistic.
Yeah.
I thought it looked great. There were so many shots that were phenomenal, especially because they're like, I imagine that the cameraman had a crick in his back because, they're doing over-the-shoulder shots the whole time, pretty much, but for a dog. So you're just like following a dog around. And they do it great, and the movie looks awesome. They play a lot with perspective and, like, seeing things in your peripheral or it's out of focus in the background. They do that a lot, and that all looks great. It's just not scary.
Right.
But it does look great. It does. I think it was very artistically done. I will say I liked the beginning the most. I thought as it went, I kind of liked it less as far as how it looked and all of that. I wouldn't say it ever got to a point where I was like, oh, well, that looks bad. I just think it started the best and went down from there a little bit.
I see that.
But overall, I still enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know that I'd watch it again, but I would suggest it to dog lovers everywhere, I guess,
Yeah, I don't feel a real need to see this again. Although I would watch a whole 70-minute behind the scenes of the filming of this movie.
I would watch probably 2 hours plus.
Yeah.
Like you said, I enjoyed that much more than the movie
It
itself.
literally... I'm not going to let it affect my score realistically, but like it literally bumped the movie up like a point or two, and I was just like, I shouldn't let it do that, but like that was just great. It was wholesome, adorable. I want to see the full behind the scenes filming.
I'm sure.
More.
I hope they put it up on YouTube or something, a full BTS segment or something. But I don't think the behind the scenes made me like the movie more. Because also a lot of the things that, like, tricks of the trade that they talk about, I'm like, yeah, I knew all of this already, and I figured this is what was happening.
That probably helps for me not knowing most of the tricks of the trade.
Because that, honestly, this isn't a spoiler at all, but it's like, it's a dog acting.
Right.
So when the dog looks up or then, like, goes like, what was that?
Yeah.
There's just somebody off screen going like,
no.
hey, buddy, look over here.
No.
And so I'm thinking that the entire movie because I'm impressed by how, I shouldn't say how good the dog's acting is.
Yeah.
But the whole time I'm going, man, he's great. How the hell did they get him to do some of these things? And I find out in the special features that, oh, it's not that he's wonderfully trained. We just filmed for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
That was crazy. Because, I have seen behind the scenes before of how they get dogs to look in certain directions. Dogs are trained to move here, position here. We can edit that a little bit. But actually seeing it and just... I don't know this guy at all. Was this like his first film? Does he do this sort of thing? Like, I don't know what his background is, but just seeing the behind the scenes made me feel like maybe if I put in enough time with a dog, I could do something like this. At parts, not the whole movie, but like, getting the dog to look where I want to look, maybe putting a little creepy shot behind it for, the juxtaposition.
So this is his first feature film. He's done 11 shorts, it looks like.
Okay.
And so this is his first time doing a feature, and so I think that kind of ties back into what I was saying of like the pacing of it or whatever is like he's not used to making a feature, it seems. So maybe this should have been a short, just a longer short. Yeah. Like, I think a lot of people hate making long shorts because, like, if you're into film festivals, that the longer the short is, the worse it is for programming, and so they're probably trying to avoid stuff like that, but a long short may have been better for this.
Okay, so as someone who has no idea what defines any of them, what are we calling a long short here?
It's typically an hour. Some people will say as short as 40 minutes makes it a feature. I go by an hour. I think that's a more accurate representation, but it's subjective. Okay. But typically the line is put around an hour, and so you could have made this a 40-minute film instead of a 70-minute film, and I think it would have flowed a lot better. But also, you could have just fleshed out some stuff instead. It could have gone both ways. You could have either done less or done more. I just felt like the current version of it was in between. It just kind of felt in between. I was like, I'm either missing something or I'm bored. One or the other.
There's one element of this movie that I guess probably could have been reduced to me. And for me, my reason for not really being bored with it was just because I was more still confused by it at times. We'll get to it in spoilers, but it's like the only element of the movie that was just like... It's the only element of the movie that I was just like, what is this exactly here?
Okay.
And then at the end, it started to make a bit more sense, and then not fully... We'll get to that in spoilers.
Well, I think, and I'll add to that before we get into the spoilers of it, that's why it felt like a mixed metaphor. Yeah. And that's why I didn't think the allegory totally worked, and I felt like they were trying to do two things at once.
Yeah, I still don't quite get one thing.
Well, we'll talk about it in a minute, but before we do, let's rate it. I'll give it a 6, because I did enjoy it. Like I said, I don't really think I'll come back to it anytime soon, but it was very cute, and I would be lying if I didn't think this was probably somebody's favorite movie of the year. It's definitely for a very specific niche audience, and that is dog lovers everywhere. I am a cat person. That doesn't mean I can't enjoy, and I did very much enjoy the dog in this. Beautiful dog, loved him. But, like, I don't know. I think, you know, it's a fine movie, and it executed parts of what it wanted to do expertly, and enough to make me say it was fun, it was a good time, but nothing really more than that. So, yeah, 6 for me.
You know what? I'll be a little different. Let the ending affect me a little bit. Give it a 6.5. Now, I am a dog person. Yeah, it's definitely not going to be my favorite movie of the year just because it's got a dog in it. You can't emotionally manipulate me that well.
I'm just saying some people will.
Now, if you brought a dog to physically put into my lap while I'm watching this movie, 10 out of 10. But you didn't do that, so. Yeah. But yeah, no,
I love the audience and how silly they are, because like at one point the guy just like pushes the dog away and the audience is like, oh, how dare you push the dog? I'm like, the dog's fine. So yeah, that's what we had to think. We're gonna get into spoilers now though, so if you don't want anything spoiled, you should go watch it. If there's a showing, this was literally the one and only showing that I saw in driving distance, but maybe there's another one near you for you to go see it, and you can go to it, then come back and we can talk about it then. But don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe, all that. Thanks, guys. Bye. So the movie follows a guy, I forget his name already.
No,
doesn't really matter. His sister's Vera, though, which was a unique name. And the movie starts out with, I forgot what this movie was about, and I was like, is this a zombie movie for a second? I was like, and that's his owner, but the rest of the movie is going to be with the girl or something. I completely didn't know. I just knew it was a horror movie with a dog, so I was like, where are we going? And he coughs up blood, and then at first I thought we then traveled back in time and that was going to be the end of the movie. Not the case. Apparently he coughed up blood, and then he went to the doctors, was in the hospital for a while, I guess, and then finally got let out, and then decides to move to his old grandfather's house. His grandfather's passed away and left him everything, essentially, except for the taxidermied animals he gave to his vegan granddaughter, which is hilarious. He didn't look that young, but they said all of the relatives died young. So everybody who lived in that house also either moved out within a couple weeks or died. So it's like, ooh, haunted house. Ooh, what's this? And so he moves in, and then hauntings happen immediately. I mean, even when they're pulling up, you see the shadow man in the background.
Yeah.
And so, just cutting to the chase, it's an allegory for death, obviously. Cancer or something. They don't specify what he has. But
seems very much cancer-like.
Yeah.
Just from my very limited disease knowledge.
Yeah, it's just a cancer thing. And so death is constantly coming after him and getting closer and closer until it eventually gets him and drags him to hell of some sort.
Yeah. Little odd at the end there.
Which, dude, that part though made me cry when the dog is willing to go to hell to be with the owner. I was like, I love this dog. But anyway, yeah. So it's a pretty straightforward allegory there. It even kind of spelled out with when he washes the dog. He goes like, "Man, you smell like death." Yeah. And I'm like, haha. The dog's thinking, "Yeah, you too, buddy." But so what was interesting though was it seemed like for a while that this movie was an allegory for like depression as well, which kind of confused me. And maybe it wasn't supposed to be at all, but it read like that a little bit. And so I was kind of confused by what they were doing there. But that's not the mixed metaphor that I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is like seeing the creepiness around the house. Seems like, you know, because he even said in the behind the scenes is like everybody who's ever owned a dog or a cat or really any kind of animal will be freaked out by their dog staring or barking at something that you can't see. And you're like, is it a ghost? Is it whatever? Is it whatever? And so that's a thing. They also then end up talking about how dogs can smell disease or death on you.
Right.
Like they can detect the cancer in you before you can.
Right.
And so it's like, it seemed like it was two things they were trying to do here. And so I was like, I either wanted them to completely make it a fun horror movie about the dog sees the ghost and you can't, or the boogeyman, whatever it is, and you can't, or I'm sensing the death in you and I'm trying to help you allegorical thing. It tried to do both and I didn't feel like it meshed completely.
Okay.
Now, what confused you?
So for me, I don't remember the trailer much at all, but this movie got talked about a ton.
I don't know if I watched the trailer.
Me neither. But this movie got talked about a ton.
Yeah.
So like I knew horror movie dog perspective going in.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, beginning of the movie, we see him. He's sick at the hospital on the way to the place.
Mm-hmm.
I got that he was sick. At the time, I still hadn't made the connection that, oh, this isn't just an allegorical horror for his dying.
Yeah.
I got that after both they start, like he was on the phone with his sister. Mm-hmm. And she was talking about how, you know,
dogs can sense.
Yeah, sense stuff. And then when he came home from the hospital, while he was out at that cabin, like had the needle on his arm, and I'm like, oh, is that supposed to be like chemo or something? And then, the dog can detect things. Why they said test. That. I had no idea why. Because like, he's feeling bad. I'm like, is that how chemo makes you feel afterwards? I don't really know. I don't know the process. I just start thinking cancer and, start thinking of other things. But like, I'm like, oh, okay. So then the dog is detecting him the cancer and he's dying. And this is the dog trying to help him out. The Mudman confused me. I'm like, okay, is this...
That was death.
Right, but I'm like, is this death coming for him? Is this something else? Are we going?
Yeah, exactly.
Really
with
horror?
The shadow creature and the wall, I'm like,
yeah.
It felt like we were kind of doing two things at once.
It's like it became more and more clear that it was related to him, if not exactly him.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. The covered in mud elements of it is a little odd to me.
I think it's just like you buried.
Yeah, I got that afterwards, but like. It took me to the very end to get, I guess that's just him buried.
Yeah.
Even understanding that it might be death, I didn't get that it was him exactly until
I don't
the
think
end.
it was him. I think he
becomes it.
He becomes like it, but like
because I started to think it was like God, what the hell was that? The movie Woman in the Chair.
Oh, the Woman in the Yard.
It's like her
depression was Yeah, and so I was kind of thinking that too, where it reminded me of the whole depression thing, and I thought, well, animals can sense that too in their owners, and like they can sense when you need help psychologically, and that's sort of was brought up too by the sister. So I was like, maybe we're doing that, and that's where I felt like, and maybe it's partially my own fault for misunderstanding it, but I felt like we were trying to do two things at the same time, and it just felt a little disjointed. But yeah, I don't know. I still really liked the idea. I think the idea was great. I just don't know that the execution always was.
Yeah, I get Mudman is death in him. It just it wasn't.
But see, it's also not even always Mudman. Sometimes it's Shadow Man. Sometimes it's Invisible Man.
And sometimes it's the other dogs, and it's like.
Well, the other dog and the grandpa was more of like, I think those dream sequences was him smelling what had happened there.
That does make some sense. Like he went into the shed or whatever, or no, it was the basement where he found. Yeah, and then smelled it and.
Yeah, and then we end up finding the dog's skeleton there because when the grandpa died, the dog was locked down there and died, which was also sad. Which I was promised the dog didn't die in this movie, and he didn't, but a different dog did, so they lied.
And then, I gotta say, I don't know if it was just me, at the very end when she's calling for the dog. I thought the dog was dead. Oh my gosh. I'm like, wait a second, did he get trapped down there? Was that the dog the whole time? Like, the bandana doesn't make a lot of sense, but like, oh my gosh.
I started to think that too. But I was like, no, because she sees him. And she was calling to him, so it can't be, and it wasn't. But I did think that for a second, too. I was like, if that's what they're saying, I'm very confused. But yeah, no.
I just don't know if Death Mudman and whatever other apparitions kind of...
It was muddled. No pun intended.
Yeah.
It was muddied.
And then the dragging to hell thing, I like that the dog, was willing to go there for him, but I just didn't feel like we needed it after he died and then became the Mudman and had his realizations of, oh shit, I'm dead. And
yeah, I was fine with it, but
I don't really feel like we needed that. But I did like the whole setup of is the dog alive or not? That was that was a little worrying there.
Yeah. Well, okay, so it does actually confirm though that the dog can see ghosts. So maybe it was seeing actual ghosts.
Yeah.
Too. So he knew about death. He could sense death coming, and that's the allegory. But then there were also actual ghosts in the house too. Because he follows the ghost of his owner down to the basement and down to hell.
Yeah.
And if that is what we're saying then that confirms that I feel like we're doing too much. Because we're doing ghosts and death. Two separate things. An allegory and literal. It's just too much.
Yeah.
It's confusing when you're doing two separate things. And that's why I was like, he confirmed it when he said it in the behind the scenes where he's like, you ever get freaked out by your dog? I'm like, yeah, we shouldn't be talking about that. And we should be fully allegorical or fully that. You're confusing me.
Yeah, and like that's an interesting concept. And then it's just like, oh, is Mudman death? Is that something different? It's like, you're clearly dying of disease and the dog clearly can tell. And but is this on the track?
And I don't want to say I disliked either one. I certainly was much more in favor of the straightforward thing we were expecting in the moment.
Yeah.
But as the allegory became more and more obvious and I couldn't deny it anymore and I knew it was there, I'm like, I do like this too. I do. I just wanted you to pick one.
I mean, I guess not knowing what I was knowing going in, I feel like probably straightforward would have been a little more interesting then. Yeah. But like, once they started getting the setup, I was pretty invested in this dog trying to understand the death of his owner. And it never dropped out and bored me. It never tore me away. It never got really crazy like some of those third acts and some of the horror movies we've seen in the last 2 years. But
the part that lost me, because I said like it felt repetitive and was like, so at one point, I think it's when he doesn't let him sleep with him. And that's when everyone, and then the Mudman grabs him. And it's the first and only time the movie isn't from the dog's POV.
Is that when we're under the bed? And then back on top of the bed?
But he goes to the basement and he's all dirty and then he has to wash him in the tub. That's the part I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell was any of that?
Yeah.
That was also when I'm like, I don't get this part of the metaphor because if the Mudman is death, what is he washing the dog? He's washing death off the dog? Yeah. What is happening? It just doesn't make sense to me at all. That part. So it just, and then it's like, it became a series of, we're doing the same thing where, oh, what's that? Is there something over there? Mm-hmm. Oh, nope, it's over here. And we just did that too many times where I'm like, it just wasn't creative enough. It was repetitive to me as far as the scares go. And I know the scares weren't really the point, but I'm like, but they're still here and I'm bored by them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, overall, I loved the concept. I think it could have used a rewrite or two, and a much bigger budget would have helped. I don't think they have any desire to reshoot the movie, but if they could rewrite it and get a bigger budget, I would love to see what they would do with it instead. Maybe flesh out certain aspects more and neglect other parts that don't need to be in there.
This house really did just feel haunted, and now it's just like, everyone dies here. Yeah, we just lived here until we died. We all either just got some disease, some regular ass disease, or we just died.
Or in his case, he already kind of knew he was dying because he was coughing up blood. I guess he thought he was better now.
Yeah, no.
And then he moved there, but I was like, did he already know he was dying when he moved there? Is that why he was acting erratically?
So when he moved there, okay, I thought he was fine. I thought he had passed the disease.
Yeah,
he was going out there to just like live out there with the dog and et cetera, et cetera. But as it starts to build more and more, I started to think, okay, maybe there's some sort of fresh air thing. Yeah. Maybe he went there to die. You clearly, at one point, he's like putting sage around the house.
Well, that was after he got denied for cancer treatment.
Yeah, so then he's doing holistic. So was there outside of the cancer treatment? Was there other reasons cancer-wise he wanted to be out there?
I think he was just moving there because he almost died and he was trying to start new, and then he went, oh, nope, I am dying still. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it was. But once again, it's like it's a little muddied. It's not clear in really anything it's saying other than the dog loves him and would do anything for him. And I'm sorry, doggo. Also, damn, the way the dog fell. The bush is just. I thought he was gonna jump onto the roof and then the bush, just, and then just like 20 seconds of waiting, and then it comes out like, okay.
It really made it when he looked out the window. It made it look like, I go there, and then I jump there, and I slide down there.
But he's just like, aim for the bushes. Boom. I was like,
At least he landed in the bush.
Yeah. At least there was a bush. So I mean it's enjoyable. It's just like you really can't think about it because it's not well thought out. It's just enjoyable because the dog's cute and it's a fun message, although depressing one because the owner's dying and that's depressing. But I mean, at least it's cute in the way that like, oh man, aren't dogs great? Because they are so loyal, they would literally try their best to drag you out of hell. If they could, they would, kind of thing. That's really cute and very sentimental, and I love that. It's just the execution, it's not great, which is a shame. But it's okay. It really is. It's still fun. You just can't think about it too much.
Yeah. Focusing on Mudman doesn't help.
No, or the terrible effects on Mudman. It really wasn't scary at all. That was a problem. It was scary when you couldn't see it. That was nice. The less you could see it, the better.
There's literally just like the one point where he's coming up out of the basement. That was like at first you see him and then he starts crawling off. I'm like, oh, that got me a little bit.
Yeah, that got me.
And then
it was even worse. I don't know if you noticed, but I was in the process of moving my arm when that happened, and so I'm already moving because I'm like back like this, and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna bring it down, and so normally that would make me jump like that. But because I'm moving, I'm like, and I'm like, oh. But yeah, there was a couple, because there was also the shot that they had really close up of the dog's eye when it was having some sort of vision or flashback or something, or a dream. Yeah. And you saw that same crawling thing in his eye, and that didn't get me as good, but it was a similar sort of thing where I was just like, oh, that was.
I think it was exciting. Right after the basement shot when he was crawling up the stairs that it swapped to the dog under the bed, or right in front of the bed.
I think so.
And that was a shot where I was like, the scariest place for him to pop up right now would be under the bed behind the dog, and then the arm comes out, and I'm like, ah!
Yeah, that was good. It was funny, though, because it's just like, one good thing you can say about the movie, for sure, though, is like, in a lot of these movies, characters are making really dumb decisions because they're dumb, they're going toward the danger, they're not communicating, and when they see something, they don't say anything. Being the dog makes it make so much more sense because, one, the dog cannot communicate very well what it's seeing.
Right.
Two, it can't control the reaction of the owner, so it's trying to warn the owner but can't really, so the owner is going to be oblivious to all the things that he can see but the owner can't.
Yeah.
3, the dog is by nature going to try to protect, and so it's going to go toward the danger in these situations. So all of those typical really dumb horror things get kind of explained away and made a little bit better. Now, you still say, damn, that's not a chocolate lab, which we said during the movie, because it's like, don't go up there. And it's like, I'm going to go up there. I'm like, no, you stay down here like a good boy. I will say I didn't entirely understand, though, the motivation of the owner, though. I know he's dying and you're going to act upset when you're dying. Yeah. But, like, why are you pushing your dog away? wouldn't you want to cuddle your dog? He's like, no, don't cuddle with me. Don't sleep near me. Get away from me. I'm like, it's your dog, dude.
Yeah, I just figured he was frustrated and in pain and just like...
I guess. When you're dying, you don't make sense. And then the one part, he bites him, and so then he gives him the doghouse and chains him outside. So it's like, I get it. Your dog bit you, drew blood from you. That's a pretty big deal. So you go like, all right, you're over there now. That makes sense.
Did in his sleep, too.
Well, no.
They were cuddled together at that time.
That was when, so they were hidden in the corner, and they see something out in the hall, and then Mudman's hand grabs him. And so he bites Mudman's hand, but Mudman's hand is his hand.
Yeah.
And so, because I guess he smelled the death in his hand, because I think, like, and that's what I started to wonder. I was like, what is the disease? Because, like, you know, there have been cases of in the night where they smell some disease and will eat it off of the person.
That part I had never heard of. I had heard of the smelling cancer, which is why I thought it was potentially cancer. I mean, I know they can do other diseases sometimes too, but
I don't know that it was cancer. I think it was like there was a case where like somebody had a really bad like infection on their foot, and their pet like ate their foot or something, and so it's like it saved their life, but they ate their foot. Kind of thing. And so I was like, that's why I started going like, is there something wrong with his hand in particular?
Yeah.
But no, they don't go there. They don't delve into that. So I was just like, it was interesting though, because I was like, he smelled death specifically in his hand.
Yeah.
I wonder why, but they don't explain that. So yeah, it's not a thinker. It's not meant for that. It's meant to be an awe kind of movie, and it is. It works as that. Not perfectly, but still good. I don't know. It's weird because like this is the type of movie that you would describe as like, oh yeah, it's a fun time, but it's not really fun. It's depressing. So it's hard to categorize. So
it hits you right where it needs to.
In the balls.
Yeah, basically.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as we made making it. Actually, I hope you enjoyed it more. If you've seen the movie, let us know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Also, don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe, and pet your dog for me. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye. Tell him he's a good boy.
Only if he deserves it.
He does.
Of course he does.